This video is about Dynamo, the master of gravity.
Well, that was dramatic.
As a scientist, Professor Dynamo always had an inquisitive mind. So when a rift in space and time opened up in Central Park, he was first on the scene to investigate. And while he expected such a majestic sight to be life-changing, he was thinking more in a metaphorical way as opposed to having his body atomized and reduced to a tiny dying star. But while his body is gone, his spirit and lust for knowledge lives on. A tenured professor at Columbia College, Dynamo looks to learn more about his condition while maintaining his class load. After all, he has future minds to inspire. First thing you need to know about Dynamo, he is somewhat of a strange character. He can literally play both roles decently well. Whatever support would possibly look like in a game like this, that's kind of what Dynamo falls into.
Metaphysics have no practical applications.
But at the same time, he also is somewhat of a carry because of the abilities I'm going to mention in a bit. First off, his first ability is called Kinetic Pulse. It releases an energy pulse that knocks enemies up into air and does damage. At max level, it does plus 125 damage. Now, the other thing you need to know about this ability, though, is that when Dynamo hits an enemy with it, it actually increases the damage that Dynamo does to the enemy with weapon damage by 30%. 30%. So he does 30% more damage after, and lasts for about 8 seconds. It also slows their fire rate and movement speed by 35%. So this is a pretty interesting move. I think sometimes when people get knocked up by this, they think like, oh, I'm okay after this initial knockup, so they'll fight you, not realizing that he has amplified damage towards you. And that right there is kind of what makes him a little bit more carry-ish, which I'll explain after we go into his, in my opinion, his best ability, Quantum Entanglement. First off, I love the name of this move. For me, Dynamo is always going to be the Outer Wilds hero because of this. I learned about this theory of quantum entanglement while playing that game. And if you played that game, then you understand what that is. But essentially, he picks a spot, he goes invulnerable for a bit, right? And then he appears at the spot he picked. And if he uses the, I'm gonna put no cooldown. If he uses it on allies, like so, he actually takes them with him. So he can make everyone invulnerable for a second, right? And move them to safety. Okay, that kind of makes him a bit more supporty. But this is the part that many people miss, okay? At level 2, he gains a fire rate bonus of 25%, all right? And on reappearing, he gets bonus ammo. Not only that, but when he uses this ability, he actually reloads as well. So what you do is you can like empty your whole clip, right? Boom, knock him up. Empty your whole clip. Let's imagine you have better fire rate. Then you go like this, boom, reload it, and you're doing, look at that attack speed. That makes him more carry-like. And then his third ability is an AoE heal. That gives a move speed bonus if it's fully channeled. It deals 4% of max health per second at max level, which is crazy. And he can move and do things at max level, so he can still shoot and still be channeling the heal around him. Once again, another skill that kind of makes him a bit more of a support than a carry, or at least how people will maybe see that, right? But at later levels, it is kind of carry-ish, right? It's like, if I were to give like Dota terms, it's similar to like the healing ward, but imagine the healing ward's like a heart, like a heart of Tarask or something. It's really strong, and it gives a movement speed bonus. You can do whatever you want while using. You can use other abilities, which makes it really broken. Dynamo's ults, which is how a lot of people will know him, this is what makes him very similar to Enigma, and it's the reason why he's the master of gravity. He uses the dying star within him to use Singularity, which is essentially a black hole. Right now, I would say it's probably one of the most epic ultimates in the game. There's a few others that I think like contend with it, but this really stops a lot of people in their tracks. I mean, it makes Dynamo really the target of everything too. You want to be careful when you use this ability, but it can literally change the entire game. Like one good Dynamo ult can cause the enemy team to lose all their heroes. It can be a complete team wipe.
time for